America, what are you doing? The killing of George Floyd has sparked everything from peaceful protests to violence, from people standing in solidarity against racial inequalities to people voicing their outrage over the movement. Here and now is the time to sit down and listen to what needs to be said. For years, America's bow and arrow has constantly missed the mark on black issues. But honestly, it's kind of hard to know what you're shooting at when your target keeps on changing. And that's because America loves to change the narrative. We change narratives how most mechanics change oil. We are very quick to bring up a problem that has nothing to do with the task at hand. Yeah, I was going to change your oil for you, but I realized you need a tire rotation. And also, you need some new cup holders. So until you get that fixed, I can't do anything for you. Dude, I just need a synthetic blend. You say Black Lives Matter, and they say, well, all lives matter. Listen, just because I highlight one doesn't mean I negate the importance of the other. I'm just requesting assistance for these specific set of lives. In school, a student raises their hand to ask for help. The teacher doesn't say, well, all students need help. Yes, that may be true, but not all students get 37s on their test and think that calculus was a leader in the Spartan army. That child needs help now. America tries these reaches every day. Colin Kaepernick took a knee to bring to light the systematic oppression of black and brown people. And honestly, white people, we thought you would have at least related to a dude named Colin. He even had a former Army Green Beret suggest that he take a knee instead of sit in order to show more respect to the country. But people still said that he was disrespecting the flag, the country, and the very people who fight for his right to do that in the first place. I mean, come on. That's like when your mom would take you to a play date as a kid, and you get to the house, and your friend's mom says, hey, make yourself at home. So you sit on the couch, and your mom hits you over the head for being disrespectful. But she said it was okay. I understand you may not agree with the method of protest, but don't invalidate the reasons for why he protested in the first place. Some people don't like it because they find it disrespects their ancestors who fought for the country. Really? My grandfather fought in the Korean War in an unsegregated army. And not only did he face racism and discrimination while fighting overseas, but when he came back home, he couldn't enjoy the very freedoms in which he fought for. Imagine that, taking a bullet in the ass for the country, but the country not letting you sit that same ass on the front of the bus? Stop it. Just because you're trying to show respect doesn't mean you could turn a blind eye to a problem. That's like not making renovations on a home your grandfather built for you 80 years ago. Oh, he built it brick by brick with his bare hands. I don't want to dishonor his memory. Bro, the water coming out the faucet is brown. Change those pipes. What do you think this is, Flint, Michigan? All I'm saying is don't be so apt to change your narrative. Try to see it through, listen to it, because it may carry some weight. Someone says Black Lives Matter, don't say Blue Lives Matter. Someone says hands up, don't shoot, don't say all lives matter. If you bring back Jon Snow from the dead and prove he's a true Targaryen, don't give the crown to Bran. HBO. WTF. Another focal point is the police. A major problem with them is the existence of bad cops, or as you would say it, corrupt criminals, racists, brutalizers, and cops who smoke cigarettes inside the precinct. But just like White Claw flavors, they aren't all bad. Good cops do exist. Good work is possible throughout good knowledge and good character, even though cops do operate in a system which has shown itself to be racially biased and unfair. The problem is the aesthetic. Cops are sworn in to be the finest of the region that they represent. This could be detrimental because bad cops just operate under the radar of heroism. Cops that put in efficient work every day do so under a racially profiled system. And good cops, really good cops, are screwed out of any recognition because they're doing the very foundation of what they're supposed to be doing in the first place. It's kind of like when you ask your parents for a reward for getting a good grade. Hey, Dad, can I go to the mall? I just got 100 on my essay. Oh, okay. So you want me to reward you for the things you're supposed to be doing in the first place? Okay. Just for that, I'm divorcing your mother. Good cops also get lost in translation when their departments forces them to produce numbers, or productivity goals, as you would say. This requires officers to have a certain number of arrests and summonses per month. This reflects well in the department, but any cop that does not hit their goals is usually subject to some type of unofficial punishment. And I'm not talking about the good kind. This opens the door for over-policing, racial profiling bias within policing, and honestly forces cops to look for opportunities that may not be there in the first place. If someone told you to get Michael Jordan numbers, but you only had Kwame Brown skill, you're going to end up taking a lot of questionable shots. Another aspect that could be detrimental is brotherhood. Cops are binded together when they fight crime, which is good, but it could redirect where their loyalties lie. The sense of brotherhood can blanket any sense of accountability. You can stand for your brothers, but principally, you stand for the people and the law. Listen, I know a lot of brotherhoods. Some of them bad, some of them really bad, but most of them with good intentions. But they fall too when their members don't hold each other accountable to things. Except for that brotherhood. That's the best one. I mean, can you name a cooler game character? Ezio Auditore. All I ask is that you not fall into the trap of racially biased views for which the police system sets up for you and that the country has perpetuated. Be conscious Along with that, have a reallocation of funds to things like internal affairs, so that those bad cops can be rooted out. And community outreach programs, so that the cops that don't live in the neighborhoods they patrol get closer to the community. They become one. Because you're less likely to kill someone that you actually like, right? Which brings me to my next topic, white privilege and white people. Just like a male senator from the South restricting abortion laws, I'm about to tell you what you can do with something that I don't have. White privilege is the fact that everything is tailored to you upon your skin color. That's why it's easier for you to get loans. That's why Starbucks opens up at 6 a.m. That's why there's a 3-point line. The idea is if it's important to you, then it's important to everybody. So don't check your white privilege at the door like it's a mishandled Amazon package. Use it. Donate. Protest. Educate yourself and educate others on the issues. That way you can shift the focus. In the 80s, there was a crack epidemic in the black community, but nobody batted an eye because they were labeled as criminals. The same thing happened to the white community 25 years later with opioids, and now these are sick people. Now there are people that are in need. And there's always a plea to make a difference between the two. Well, statistically speaking, black people gave blowjobs for crack. And white people, we only gave over-the-pants hand jobs for our opioids. So there's a major difference between the two. These are the steps we need to take. We need to realize that racism and stereotypes were created within society. And until we rid ourselves of them, we cannot deroot them from the institutions that society has created. Institutions and laws that has created systematic racial inequality, economic oppression, police brutality, and privatized prison systems, which is the new modern slavery. This is what we need to do. Sit down, listen, realize our faults, and try to be better. So white people, try to be allies. Black people, have hope and love one another. Looters, realize that stealing a 50-inch TV is not going to do anything for the advancement of the black body. Unless, of course, you stream Black Panther on it. This is what needs to be done. Because if we constantly have these fights over what matters, the way this country's looking, nothing's going to matter at all.